Now let's go back to the streetlights in Harlow. Look, they could be turned on overnight once again, but not until April. After a budget proposal was passed last night, Harlow Council will now pay Essex County Council £100,000 a year to cover the cost of keeping the lights on between midnight and 5, subject to the County Council accepting the payment. But it comes at a cost to the Harlow taxpayer, a whole 7 pence a week. As I said, these people in Harlow have been telling BBC Essex what they think.
I think it's wrong. Well, I mean, I think the point of a council...
Secure. There's been quite violent burglaries around our area. And as a consequence, we're very careful. But there's been a few burglaries down our way. There's been a couple of elderly people hurt as well.
Well, some of the thoughts of residents of Harlow. Conservative MP for Harlow, Robert Halfon, joins us on the line now. Robert, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How do you feel about this decision, Robert? Lights on, lights off.
Well, there are three key issues in Harlow at the moment. The first is street lights. The second is illegal encampments, of which we've had over 100. And the third, of course, is the level of council tax. Now, I fought hard in Parliament for the street lights to be turned on because I did have a lot of residents writing to me. I met with Essex Council and I tabled a Commons motion about it. However, I completely oppose the way Harlow Council have decided to go about it by increasing the council tax for hard-working people. That will mean people on low incomes paying nearly an extra £40 a year. And don't forget, Harlow Council raised the council tax year after year. I think they're just using the streetlights as an excuse.
You see, I don't actually understand myself what all the fuss is about. I mean, we never used to have streetlights, and lots of people live out in rural areas where it's dark anyway, and they don't worry too much. Why are people actually getting so upset about this?
Well, my own view, and having spoken to many residents, which is why I raised it in Parliament, is that they feel safer, and there are particularly people who work late at night in restaurants and bars, shift workers, nurses coming home, and they find it very uncomfortable to walk in the dark. But as I say, it's the right thing to put the streetlights on, but there was no need to raise council tax, particularly given that Harlow Council was offered a grant by the government to cover the council tax freeze. So, in fact, Harlow Council have turned down £420,000 over the last 3 years from the government in order to freeze council tax. So they just used the lights as an excuse to hit hard-working residents.
I mean, the evidence from the police is that it is no more dangerous to be out when the lights are turned off. In fact, maybe quite the reverse than when they're turned on. They've said the burglars have more problems looking for places to go and rob when the lights are off.
Well, it is true that apart from the illegal encampments problem, that crime has been going down in Essex, even with the streetlights off. But I think that is a separate issue. My view about it is that residents feel safer and secure, and when they're walking home at night, they feel safer with the streetlights on. And that was overwhelmingly the view of the people who contacted me, including former police officers and some current police officers as well, some of them who work in London. So people feel safer and secure. My early view was that what they should have done is, rather than cut the streetlights off at midnight, they should have kept them on at least till 3 o'clock in the morning, so they would have been able to make some savings.
So how do you feel, Robert, about this £100,000 then being spent by the council? I mean, you're in favour of the lights being kept on. If this is one way to do it, are you in agreement with the Labour Party on this?
Absolutely not, because what they have done is they have raised council tax in order to pay for it. Now, this is despite a new homes bonus of £704,000 coming to the council. This is despite a government grant that is specially offered in order to freeze council tax. And what is amazing is that the council did a survey of residents. 84% of residents said that they wanted a freeze or a cut in council tax, and yet last night they raised it. Now, they used the excuse of the streetlights, yet for the last 3 years they've been raising council tax year after year as night follows day, and they have hit local residents hard with this. the fact there is a government grant that they've turned down, as I say, £420,000 over the last 3 years available from central government in order to freeze council tax, yet they still go and raise it. So I think, sadly, whilst it's right to turn the lights on, they're using the excuse of raising council tax as a means to pay for it, because there was no need to do this.
OK. Chris in Whittam says the council might be saving money, but many residents are paying for it now. I leave my outside porch light on all night. Many people in my road have had outside lights installed, which are also left on all night. There's no way I'd go out once the street lights have gone out. The council are dictating how we live our lives. It's disgraceful, says Chris. Do you not think it's the job, perhaps, Robert, of MPs to try and make people realise that it's not actually as dangerous as they may perceive?
Well, what I would like to see, perhaps in a year's time, now the council have done this, is to have a referendum, perhaps on the same day of the local elections. We have local elections every year in Harlow, so it would be relatively cheap to do a referendum across the town to ask the residents after a year, do they want the streetlights kept on, what the cost would be, or do they want them turned off? And I think that way we would be absolutely sure as to the view of residents. As I say, I can only work on the basis of when I knock on doors and speak to Harlow residents and the ones who write to me and contact me by email or Twitter. The vast majority have been in favour of keeping the streetlights on, and of course I have to act on behalf of what my residents tell me.
Robert, thank you very much indeed. Robert Halfon, the MP for Harlow. Interesting, of course, Robert is saying he thinks streetlights should be on but not paid for by council tax. John Whittingdale, Conservative MP as well, he's quite happy with them off. What are your thoughts? 0300 200 40 41.